Howdy doody. Welcome to episode 358 of TDI. This is Dr. O on the horn to start per usual. And as always, I'm joined by my co-host, my best friend, and proud starlighter, Ricky Flicks. How are you, my friend? The content carousel is here. The month we call June of 2024. We had the Acolyte debut last week. We have the boys debuting this weekend. We got Inside Out coming this weekend. House of the Dragon coming this weekend. Are you ready for a hell of a month on the look ahead?
Doc, I was on the edge of my seat. I thought you were going on the other side there, the other way there. I was just by the way you've been going. I don't know, but you went with the Starlighters. I appreciate it. I am a Starlighter. I stand with Starlight. But yeah, no, this is a great month. You're laughing over there. No,
Can you guess what side I stand on?
Oh no. I'm not even gonna get. We're not gonna do that. We're not gonna do that. But oh Jesus.
Can you guess?
He's a Homelander.
Yeah. For people listening, what would you say, dude? What would you say to the kid? What would you say in your mic right now?
It was sipping on milk or something.
Yeah. You couldn't see my milk mustache, so I drooled on purpose.
So like when we were kids, and I think earlier, you had not when we were kids, but like early on, you had the milkman come, and like it's always like, oh, milk is like a good source of like calcium, good for your bones and muscles. Dude, do kids drink milk anymore?
I
think it's just weird to drink milk.
I feel like I think parents would say they would look on the internet, they would read too much into it, just like young adults read too much into like how much water you should drink a day. I feel like that's happening with milk and parents. Like, oh, you should drink this much water. You should drink a gallon, 2 gallons. Oh, that's way too much. You're going to become bloated.
You should drink 1% or 2% or fat-free or skim milk.
I feel like people are trying to challenge the status quo as young parents that don't make their kids drink milk.
I feel like now, like, how like people get like you get like tested now for like if you're gluten-free or like lactose intolerant. It's just like, you know what, better safe than sorry. Milk alternative or something like that. I don't know. Almond milk. I don't know. I don't feel like kids drink
soy milk.
Yeah, soy milk. I don't know.
Lactaid.
I don't know how we got here, but yeah, I just thought of that. I don't know. I don't think kids drink milk anymore.
Yeah, I don't think they do. Right? We had to drink a minimum of 1 glass of milk every dinner we had. Like there was no other option. I think if we like brought water to the dinner table, our parents would still say, "Where's your glass of milk?" Like, It's not okay to just drink water. Like, think about as an adult now, like I drink water with every meal. Like me drinking milk here, this is a treat. This is a treat. This is a throwback. And I'm going to do this for every reaction that we have for the boys. We're drinking milk. So, Garlic Farms, if you want to sponsor the podcast, feel free. Contact us, right? You hit us on our email at thedrivingpod@gmail.com. And we are more than happy to oblige. Or maybe Nesquik or Yoo-Hoo if we want to have some flavor.
That would be great.
That would be.
I'm down for a good chocolate milk.
Yeah, a good Yoo-Hoo. I think Nesquik would be the way to go. But dude, dare I say, I like if I was to get a Nesquik at the market or at the gas station, I'm getting a strawberry.
You've always been a strawberry guy. I'm a chocolate guy through and through.
Yep, I am a strawberry guy. But I will be drinking a glass of milk in honor of one of the greatest villains in the history of not only TV but all media. Homelander, Ricky Flex. I think we have to get talking about season 4 of The Boys. And I don't know about you, but I sped through season 3 of The Boys this past week, and it was a trip down memory lane that was more than welcome. And I was jacked, even if I hadn't done the rewatch for season 4. Aside from The Bear, this is my most anticipated show for the year. A lot of it has to do with Homelander. A lot of it has to do with Butcher, and it has a lot to do with the debauchery that these characters get into. For The Boys, from Eric Kripke. Did you do any rewatching before this season?
Absolutely none. I didn't do any. I've been watching The Bear. I've been ripping through season 2. Just have not been watching The Boys. Like, there's too much to do. House of the Dragon this weekend. I was like, do I pop that on? I don't know. Instead, I just continue to watch season 2 of The Bear.
Yeah, I think season 3 of the show on the rewatch, it like cemented it as like an all-time like popcorn show or all-time superhero project. Like it's in the pantheon of like the great superhero projects. Season 1, a pleasant surprise. Season 2 confirms, yes, this show is good. Season 3 is like, wow, I think we're going to have characters that stand the test of time, primarily Butcher and Homelander. And we're going to have these characters that are like the TV versions of the Batman and Joker. It's like the foils of one another that as long as one is around, the other will be around. If one goes away, the other one's going to go away. They are in tandem with one another. They are simpatico, you know? And I felt like that season 3, it was perfect because not only did you have the buildup from season 1 and 2, but you have like Butcher gaining the ability, right, to become a soup, to take on Homelander one on one. You have the famous speech that was very reminiscent of like The Dark Knight 2008, where Joker's saying to Batman, basically, we were meant for each other. You have that at the beginning of season 3 on the rewatch. I'm like, God damn, this is such an electric scene. It's such amazing acting from Carl Urban and Anthony Starr. I thought that season like cemented this as an all-time show, but I think it set like the expectations unrealistically high for season 4.
I think you're right. And we did get some clarity that there will be 5 seasons. So this is going to be the penultimate season of The Boys.
Yeah. Oh.
So it puts a little bit more weight on it after that knowledge that we now for sure know this is the second to last season. So how this season ends and how it leads to season 5 with Butcher's life on the line and not a lot of time left, this season's very important, right? And we kind of know now that this show, it will not go on. Like, it will not go on beyond Butcher. This will end with Butcher. So I kind of had that feeling of that weight watching these first 3 episodes. And to be honest, it was a good weight. I liked that. Having that comfort, knowing that this show, we're not going to dilute this show. We're going to have a finite 5 seasons, wrap it up nicely, hopefully, cross my fingers on that. And yes, you're right. They're going to live together, Butcher and Homelander, thrive together, reach their peak, and they're going to die together.
I feel like this show already had a lot of pressure to succeed following the highs of season 3 and following the relationship established, cemented as like goat shit from Homelander and Butcher. And with this comment from Eric Kripke that this will end with season 5, we're only in season 4 right now. And when he said basically along with that, this will end on season 5, he said we have to come to like a finality with the relationship between these two characters. I think that put even more pressure on the show because like you're taking away stakes immediately during this season. Like there's already the running joke that Homelander never dies. It's the same story. It's like, okay, we're gonna narrow Homelander down, right? We're gonna do everything we can to stop him, right? The boys are gonna pull every trick in the book and they're gonna try and corner him. And what happens? Homelander's gonna get away. It's going to happen this season because there has to be finality with season 5, and Eric Kripke has talked about it. But also, Carl Urban, like during season 3, him as Butcher, he is taking the Temp V, and he finds out at the end of the season that he has tumors, he has lesions in his brain, and he has basically, 12 to 18 months to live maximum. So, like, this tells me, like, he has, like, those stakes that were at the end of season 3, they're kind of gone for season 4. And I know you have to have the finale with his relationship with Homelander in season 5. He's going to live past this season. So I thought this season, it's got to do something different than the last season. It can't just be about Butcher and Homelander, or if it is about them, there's got to be a little twist. There's got to be a different element here, right? So did you think like with these comments, it put additional pressure on audience expectations, how it should perform?
For me, there was always pressure on that. And like I was saying before, I think there's, some comfort level now between the two. Because like if you look back to last season, we had the Hero-gasm episode and also the finale. But like Soldier Boy was in the mix of that. And like Homelander is dad and like Butcher and Ryan, that relationship wasn't like it is starting to bloom or blossom here. So like we have different themes here that's kind of directly tying to this 1v1 relationship versus like other things in the way. Really the only thing now in between this relationship is Ryan, and that's a good thing because that's the commonality. So I kind of like where this is going. I'm kind of on the other end of the spectrum here.
Well, in my opinion, I think what the show has to do in order to be successful, you have to carry on this dynamic between the two, and it's through the X factor. And who is the X factor? It's Ryan, right? And if the Ryan scenes are successful this season, I will consider a success. It's going to be entertaining no matter what, right? It's going to be violent. It's going to be hilarious, right? It's going to catch you off guard in certain moments. It's going to be a fun show to watch. But is it going to like continue this level of excellence that was set from the last season and arguably from season 2? I think Ryan has to be that person that almost is like symbolizing or reflecting the relationship of Homelander and Butcher. And it's got to be because season 3, you had so much actual contact and conversation between these two characters, and now it's like the pulling from both sides of Orion, right? Him emotionally connecting with Butcher in this season so far, but then him on the opportunity for notoriety, for fame, and to be given anything that he wants, right? By a controlling but also loving father in Homelander. You know, I just feel like this is the different element that you need with their relationship. And as long as the Ryan scenes work, I think this show will work.
Ryan's got to step up. He's got to step up
The
here.
X Factor.
Yeah, and most of his scenes aren't very good, if I have to be honest. He's not like what we saw in The Acolyte, and I'm not going to go that far. Episode 3,
Like acting wise, like
acting wise, like he's not bad.
Yeah.
But like, I'm not like compared to everyone else in The Boys. I'm not like glued to the screen, or like thinking about like, oh, what's he gonna do next? It's like no, like he's just a normal, boring kid, like just a kid, normal kid. I don't know. And for me, it's like, all right, which way is he gonna go? And is he gonna go crazy and like he kind of did here, but not on purpose, but like on purpose, or is he gonna turn into just a nice, loving kid? I don't know. I just don't. I'm not like compelled by him at all. I think his best scenes are like when I think season 2 when Homelander just pushed him off the roof. But that was all Homelander.
Where he's the butt of the joke.
Exactly. He's good when he's the butt of the joke. Like, even this season, when he throws the guy, like that's funny because like he killed the guy. Like it's not because he did it. You know, like it's just not him.
I am not drawn to the performance of Ryan, but the character itself, I find those scenes compelling. It's right. Where he obviously has a connection with Butcher, even though he's not blood related to him, right? And he's blood related to Homelander, but he finds zero connection with him. And obviously, like, he doesn't nail his lines almost ever. It feels like his balls haven't dropped yet, although he looks like he's 16 years old. Like, what's so interesting is that you have Homelander that is like forcing this relationship, and that you have an opportunity at maybe the end of this season where Ryan is going to be in the 7, where you have Homelander saying, we're reserving this final spot. He's saying it to the public for my son, Ryan. You have Ryan like having his first, what's it called? Where they set up everything. He has his first arrest. What is his first save? That's the term they used. I didn't like how the boys, like, they started to like really emphasize like the stage saves. I didn't like that this season because I always thought like, yeah, some of them are staged, but other ones, like, they're superheroes and they save people and like they do make the big bucks that way. But to find out like everything isn't real, I just found that a little bit disingenuous from the last 2 seasons, you know? But like having Ryan not being a natural in that regard, like Ryan is a kid who's never had friends. He's been living with Mallory these last couple of years. He's been seeing Butcher like once a week. Like he has no connection to anybody. And the one person he does have a connection to is Butcher. And Butcher, his mission and his purpose this season is to make sure this kid is on the right path. Like his dying wish, or what he wants to accomplish before he bites the dust, is to make sure Ryan is safe. And that means away from Homelander and back with Mallory, right? Which is why it's interesting. He's trying to freaking poison him with these cookies and he takes it back. But he also feels that emotional pull that Ryan's looking for. You know what I mean? I just feel like it's just interesting what Homelander, he's still acting villainous with his own son, and then Butcher on the other side is the emotional pull. I just feel like the scenes work even if Ryan sucks at acting. That's basically what I'm saying.
Yeah, even though he's not the most compelling character, he's the X factor. He's the reason why we have Butcher and Homelander going crazy, and then why they're so compelling. So he's just the X factor.
Something else I was looking for in this season is we talked so much about Butcher and Homelander, at least I have, but also season 3, we had some characters that left, right? We have Soldier Boy, not dead, but put away, put in the cryo chamber, Ted Williams style, Captain America style, back away. Queen Maeve, strong character, not the largest presence in season 3, very big at the end, but also she's probably gone for this season, at least for the majority. Black Noir, I think still done in Injustice, the original Black Noir, done in Injustice in season 3. Thought he had a great episode in season 3, but he's gone. The OG, Stan Edgar, gone. Right? I thought he was a formidable villain in season 3. He was great in that first half. I was sad to see him go. Also could come back. But I was looking at strong characters leaving and then characters coming in. Right? Like Sister Sage and Firecracker. How are they going to do under these circumstances? New members of the Seven. When you saw the trailer, presumably, and then seeing it come into play here. Ricky Flicks, I want to talk about these characters a little bit. Sister Sage, let's start with her. What do you think about her in this initial season?
I liked her. It's a different style because she's not a physical superhero. She's just the smartest person in the world. But I am like getting some sort of relief with somebody pushing back against Homelander. I kind of like it. I think it was time because Homelander season 2 and 3 kind of just having his way. So especially season 3, obviously. So I kind of like that little push there and kind of her pulling the strings a little bit. Now at the end of episode 3 here, I don't know if that was recorded or not, or like I don't know. I was gonna ask you about that later, but overall I do like her. Firecracker, interesting. I don't know where I stand with her yet. I think it's a funny character, like kind of the YouTuber conspiracy theorist, but wins over the public population. I think it's an interesting character, funny, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know if that's gonna like be big enough for me. Like take over some of that spotlight that you mentioned, some of the characters that were missing. I don't think she fills that role. And was it Sister Sage?
Yep.
I don't know if she does it either, but I do like her. I like that differentiality with this character. So overall, like decent entries, but I do feel like we're missing like a punch. Like we're not packing a punch anymore with the supporting cast.
Okay, I'm gonna start with Sister Sage, because I not much different thoughts, but I think Sister Sage was awesome. I think she's an excellent character. I think she's well acted, but I think what I like about her is something you said is that she is the challenge needed for Homelander. Like Homelander literally at the beginning of this season is like, okay, Deep, I need you to suck A-Train's dick right now. And then literally Homelander has to say, get off your fucking knees right now in order for him not to do it. He needs someone that's going to provide that resistance to him that will let him know when he's making a dumb decision where it's very uninformed. And who better than the smartest person alive? Not the smartest woman, the smartest person alive, as Sister Sage would tell you. What I also think Sister Sage, she provides a different element as a villain to the boys. Like the boys are always, they're always a step ahead of their more physically imposing members of the Seven, right? Or hero soups. Like they have they have the resources, right, to be a step ahead. It seems like they can't get a step ahead of Sister Sage, right? She knows their next move. She knows when they're tailing when the boys are tailing her and potentially the Seven itself. I just think she provides a different dynamic than we traditionally see, and I like how cocky she is, and it almost feels like she takes Homelander as stupid. She takes everyone as stupid, but she also like asserts authority over Homelander and makes him feel smaller. And I think that's going to get her into deep shit later on because Homelander can just fry her at any moment. But I just think it's someone that you can't underestimate, whether you're Homelander or the boys. And that's what makes her such an amazing villain.
Villain? Yeah.
She's a villain, bro. She's a right-hand man. She's the Darth Vader to the Darth Sidious.
I don't know if I put it that far, but like I get it. I don't know. For me, like
You want Scoops to take over the world, bro.
I do like what you're saying though about like being one step ahead. That was something I did like about this season, where like in the boys' first few seasons, you always feel like somehow like they're always a step ahead of the superheroes and Vought, a multi-billion-dollar company. Like, how is this possible? And you always had that sense of like that's not really real, even though obviously we're talking about superheroes and like it's obviously not. It's a fantasy, but I was like, come on, like let's be a little bit more realistic. Here it's like, all right, finally we got somebody with brains at the multi-billion-dollar company and the most powerful people on the planet. They should be a step ahead sometimes, a bigger challenge for the boys. And again, it's a different boys team without Butcher really. Starlight was basically not with the boys for these first 3 episodes, besides the first scene. So without her, without Huey, it's kind of like they were never a team. So it was a different flavor of the boys, which I liked. It had a little diversification, a little bit different versus the first 3 seasons, which I liked, but still the same tone, same boys feel to it.
I do. I'm not done talking about Sister Sage just because I think what also makes her so good is that she has the same vision as Homelander. They're on the same page. They want a soup in every town that's ahead of the police. That's ahead of the police force. They want a soup in the Oval Office, right? They are literally planning the assassination of a president with the vice president, Victoria Newman. They're on the same page. I feel like Homelander is now seeing his actual vision and what Stormfront brought to the table in season 2. It's like a vision that she was pushing onto Homelander, but this is exactly what Homelander wants. And she, meaning Sister Sage, had that huge speech about like the gods and how we should be dominant. Democracy is going to destroy itself. She's an agent of chaos. She's going to take these Starlighters versus these Homelanders and cause them, right, to almost realize we need soups. We need soups in powerful positions, right? I just think like her alignment with Homelander is perfect. It's perfect, and she's not traditionally someone you see in the 7. But do you have any thoughts?
I would just say one thing that I'll say I didn't really love with Sister Sage. I didn't dislike. I just have questions about is that like I guess what's her purpose? Like why is she doing this? Is it because she gets to finally put some use to her powers?
I don't think we know
because I don't. You were saying how like her and Homelander are on the same page. Like I don't believe that like she wants this. I think Homelander wants this, and she's just executing and like being the strategist. Being the general, like kind of putting like the marks on the map. Saying oh this is where to go and stuff. She's like kind of like just the brains behind the operations. Like she used herself those words to herself. I don't know what her purpose is though. I guess it's just to use her powers. That's why like, I don't really get it. Like I don't see her as like having the same vision as Homelander. I haven't bought that.
Well, they both want soups in powerful positions. That's the vision.
But like, does she say that? I don't remember that.
No. Yeah, she does because she's explaining it to Victoria Newman with.
No, right. No. I remember that scene, but like
the question is why? It's the motivation. Like, why does she want that? Like, what?
Right.
Like that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, or like it's not.
Homelander is just going to exert power, and then what's her face, Sister Sage. She doesn't even want to be a part of the 7. I think we still have to find out more about Sister Sage. Like we don't know the complete motivation for Sister Sage yet, right? We just know that she's on board with helping out Homelander. She's gaining more and more power. But what is her end game? I don't think we know yet. And I think it might have to do with that freaking metal pole that's at the end of episode 3 as she's hooking up with the Deep that is bloody, that metal stick. And we have no idea what the hell that is. I think we have still a lot to learn, I guess, about a Sister Sage.
Yeah,
I just
and
don't think we have enough.
That's what I was referring to before. I don't know what that metal pole is. This supposed to be like a recorder or it was bloody. So like, I don't know. I don't know if like, so obviously that's fake, that relationship at the end there, or that hookup at the end. So I don't really know what that's going to play out as, but we'll see.
She's using the Deep. She's using the bloomin' onion as bait.
Yeah, for something. I don't know though.
The bloomin' onion as bait. It always gets you. But moving on from Sister Sage Firecracker, I think it's an interesting character. I'm not in love with the character, but I think it's interesting because she's not like high profile that you would think is meant for the 7. Like we traditionally see, like in season 3, you had Supersonic, you had the game show, you have you have like the extreme search for a high level superhero like we had with um, Starlight at the beginning of The Boys in season 1. Here, it's a very strategic pick from Sister Sage. And I think the purpose of this character is fascinating because it's someone that can go in opposition to Starlight, right? Firecracker, who has a history with Starlight. Starlight is kind of having an identity crisis, trying to recover from being a part of the Seven, kind of becoming like this political activist. As um, what's her actual name? This actually is perfect.
Starlight?
Yeah. What's her actual
Annie
name?
January.
Annie.
Right.
Annie.
Yeah.
She's like using her real name, government name, Annie January, rather than Starlight. You know, she has this history with Firecracker, and Firecracker was a pageant girl, just like Starlight was back in the day. And Starlight apparently spread this rumor that Firecracker had what anal orgies with the judges. Is that right?
Gangbangs.
Gangbangs, like anal gangbangs. She said some type of weird phrasing to it.
We get the meaning.
Okay, but it's just interesting because first off, I just straight up don't believe Annie January would say that. I found that really weird.
She didn't deny it.
I don't know. She did say it. Like she's like the shock factor is that she did. It's just like the boys type of phrasing and verbiage. It's like, whoa, that's a lot. And you would understand someone else saying it. But to someone talking about orgies at 13 years old, you don't think of Annie January. I just thought it was a little bit weird. But I just think this is what the kick in the ass I think Annie needs, because her character's kind of sucked these first 3 episodes. And I think this is going to be the one-on-one that we need, because Annie's kind of a loser, bro. And as a character, even A-Train was telling Annie to put away the eyes. And I feel like every time Homelander sees Annie, he says, put away the eyes. It's like they're just not intimidated by her whatsoever. She's working on honing her powers alongside Huey this season. I just think she needs like a character overhaul. And I think Firecracker actually might be a great opposition to her.
So I agree with everything you said about Starlight. But Firecracker just doesn't pose a threat to me even more. I think she's nothing.
It's just for Starlight. Like
right. But like what I mean is, you were just saying how Homelander and A-Train like look at her and say like, oh, like she's nothing, like she's not a threat. And I agree. But when I look at Firecracker, I'm like, she literally isn't a threat except with her platform. She like her superpowers are nothing. Like she got beat up by like humans in the scene in episode 2. So I don't know. I totally agree with you. But like when I look at Firecracker, I look at her even more as less of a threat. But she's in the 7.
She's not a traditional recruit of the 7. Right. Like Sister Sage had literally told Victoria Newman when she was alongside Homelander that the only reason we have this person is to combat Starlight.
Right.
And it's interesting because Annie's like this goody two shoes, you know, and you hear this vile story and you have this vile person telling it. Right. I just think this is the dimension we need. This is a change up of the character because it felt like it was getting stale and it wasn't compelling whatsoever. Right. Okay. What else? Mother's Milk. Speaking of milk, he's taking leadership of the boys. Butcher is falling off. He's sick. He obviously has this fatal disease that he's suffering from. And he's got the lesions on his brain. So, how do you think he's doing as leader of the boys? Do you think he's successful? Do you think he's good?
Well, first and foremost, they addressed it right away. He lost weight.
Changed his facial hair.
Yeah, and like they said
like Axel Foley, bro.
They literally made a joke in the first scene with him saying like, oh, like eat something, like you need a sandwich or something. I forget what it was. It was in the van in the first scene.
He was thick in the first 3 seasons.
Yeah, that actor lost weight. And they were very meta about that. So that's like what I want from the boys. So I love that. But yeah, no, he's not a great leader. But he's turning it around a little bit. A-Train, that's a great call. Ballsy call. Butcher was saying need to be a little bit like, dirtier. That's a part of it. And he made a gutsy call, paid off. A-Train not once, twice. So that's big. A-Train, that turn, that could be like the thing where they had Starlight, but obviously she was always good. But now you're having this redemption story with A-Train, and you're facing this Sister Sage who you can't outsmart. So how are you going to outsmart somebody? You're going to get someone in her network to kind of like disrupt things and maybe help you get back to being a step ahead. So I like this overall. It's just that before that, he was struggling. He was, and Butcher called him out on it, and I agree with him.
Okay, so first off, the best move from MM was definitely A Train, and sensing that he might turn uh, to the boys' side, or at least be an informant for them. I do not think this is going to last long, mainly because when you have that figure skating sequence, and Huey is on the run from Homelander, and all of a sudden Huey disappears. You don't think that Sister Sage is smart enough to recognize that A Train is the only one that could have saved Huey and like kind of picked him up without a trace that Homelander can't track him? Even Homelander's not that dumb. Like, he must realize that A Train must have saved Huey in that circumstance. I don't like, I would just call the show kind of dumb if they didn't address that, because it's so obvious. Like, Homelander can't track down Huey. Are you kidding me? He was just chasing him on foot. Like, it's doable. He can freaking fly. I feel like it had to have been A Train for him to like disappear without a speck of crumb. You know. I also want to say, MM not a good leader. He is a good leader, but he is not a good leader of the boys. The boys, what makes them so good is that, first of all, they have a diverse set of skills. Everyone has their specific job, but also there's room to improvise, right? MM is massively OCD. And things have to be done a certain way. If you don't get them done a certain way, right, he first off will get frustrated, but he has to be done, and there's probably explicit instructions. Butcher is more like, just get the job done, mate. Just get the job done, right? That's all you got to do, you filthy cunt. You just got to get the job done. Do it any way you see fit. But if the job gets done, no matter how messy it is, we'll deal with it later. That's not how MM operates. And, MM is just very strict with Butcher. And Butcher's like a puppy dog that comes back every single time. But it's kind of a role reversal, because MM kind of does the same thing when Butcher's in the lead. MM comes like crawling back like a dog every single time. Or at least Butcher is like telling him to come back. There is some return from MM. So it's just interesting with the role reversals here. But personally, like, as a person who likes watching the boys operate, I prefer Butcher, because you're probably going to get into more hijinks, and you're going to see, right, you have more of an opportunity to shine, with Butcher.
Yeah, and just look at the crew. What's going on? Starlight and Huey just aren't around ever. And freaking Frenchie is on drugs again, and he's off and running about. Kimiko's not focused. Now she's off on her own adventure, and drunk on an on a mission. Like, they're just not a team. They're not a team anymore. And sure,
they don't respect him either. They told him to fuck off.
Yeah, and like, they were a dysfunctional team under Butcher, but at least they were still a team. This isn't even a team that we're seeing.
They united over their hate over Butcher. It was like Herb Brooks. That's why Butcher was like low-key a genius. They like all hated Butcher, and that's what brought them together. Frenchie, Kimiko, they're just in a house full of horrors right now. These people can't get their shit together whatsoever. Kimiko's gone off the deep end. She's drinking all of A Train's alcoholic beverages. You got Frenchie taking all the drugs, imagining rubber duckies in the bubble bath. He's really going through it. I feel like they are two people that are meant for each other, right? But their time has passed, and they want to get over one another, but they're having a really hard time doing so. But also, Kimiko's having trouble with getting over the whole Frenchie's gay type of thing. That came out of left field. It feels like, okay, this is a twist in the character. We're trying to keep the audience on their toes. And also, we're just trying to do something different with like a smaller supporting character. Frenchie, like, they're trying to do also, okay, he's with this dude now, and then this dude, he killed his family. I'm like, this is a lot that you're adding to the character. This is a freaking lot that you're asking that I really am not invested in for these past 3 episodes. Kimiko, it's hard because I always loved her and Frenchie. It's tough. Her becoming a booze hound is not the right direction I want to see for the character. I don't have a huge issue with it, but because obviously they're not the main characters of the show, but it's just kind of tragic to see him go in this direction.
Yeah, I kind of like how Frenchie, like that. You're right. Their time has kind of passed, but maybe they rekindle things at the end of the season or season 5, and they realize they're meant to be with each other. But I kind of like that. Like it's common in TV shows, like you find another love, whatever. Frenchie's kind of done that, but like also now we're like getting back into his past, which we kind of went into last season, which was kind of a weak part of the boys last season. Now it's also a weak part in the boys this season. And Kimiko, definitely the last in the storyline here out of the boys. Out of each, like Huey's got his dad, and then his mom. Starlight's got the firecracker slash starlighters. MM's leading the group. Butcher's got his thing. And I just mentioned Frenchie. Definitely last in the totem pole once again is Kimiko. And they're finally trying to do something with her, but it's still like not enough in my opinion. And it's definitely just clearly, like I said, last in the totem pole. And I kind of wish they kind of just scrapped it. Like I don't know, it just it doesn't fit. They kind of rushed into the Frenchie storyline, and then they just expect us to like be like, hey, here you go. Here's this really in-depth subplot. And then with Kimiko, they threw it in episode 2 at the end of episode 2 with the drunkenness and then the picture of the girl and the fire breathers or whatever. And then episode 3, oh boom, she knows somebody in that. It's like they're just throwing stuff at us. They're like throwing darts at a board. A dartboard. I don't know. It just didn't feel natural to me at all with those two storylines.
Yeah, so I think kind of goes back to Homelander too, where it's like there's just a theme. I think in the second and third episode, characters confronting their past. Like you have the classic like Green Goblin scene that I love that Homelander does when he's talking in the mirror. Instead of one different Homelander he's talking to, it's like 3 different that are sprayed across, and they have different perspectives. And like the consensus is you have to get over your narcissism, you have to confront your past, right? And then you have Frenchie, right, hallucinating these ducks and like the abuse he took as a child, and then also like how he killed his lover's family, Colin's family, and him trying to confront that. Kimiko trying to confront that she has some type of history. What's the organization? I think Blinded Light. Is it Blinded Light? The organization terrorist group that was holding her prisoner?
Something like that.
I think it's Blinded Light, but she's obviously recognizing this person also has to confront her past and also go fighting through these demons. I just kind of found that was the commonality, but you just have so much to fit in to like these hour episodes. Like you got to pick and choose which characters are most important to tend to. I don't think Frenchie and Kimiko are really moving the needle for me right now. I love them. I love them both dearly, but they're not what I'm looking for, Ricky Flex. We also have to talk about, let's just keep moving down the line of characters because Victoria Newman, she is someone that was picked second in the boys character draft with our boys correspondent Gus, who is not able to join us today. He will be joining for future The Boys season 4 recaps. So Newman, VP, running for VP, and she is someone that we see in the first episode that's kind of poised as this unstoppable force, where it's almost destined that she is going to be on the ticket for the winning team, for the winning presidential party. She's eventually, like, it's almost inevitable that she's going to basically assassinate or be part of an assassination of the president. And then you have the first ever soup that is in the Oval Office, that is president of the United States. I think the first episode, at least the first 20 minutes, did an amazing job establishing her as like, oh my God, this is like almost someone we're trying to move away from Homelander being this almighty figure. Who else can we like build towards? Like Victoria Newman in that first episode was so cool. Like her, obviously we know the power she has at exploding heads, but like she could take a bullet directly to the brain and live and act like it was nothing to me. And I think you have call her invulnerable. And I was just like, yeah, big time. Right. And I think building off of that, it's like, damn, and then you have like the CIA, you got the Jeffrey Dean Morgan character and and then you have Mallory, and they're talking about the priority. The president's talking about the need to get rid of Victoria Newman. She is the number one target, just like Homelander has been for the first 3 seasons. You're like, oh my God, we may have something here with a different villain. And instead we're getting more Sister Sage. We always have more Homelander. I just want a little bit more screen time with Victoria Newman because whenever she's on there, you do feel like she is a formidable threat.
I completely agree. She was captivating every time she was on the screen. You're like, what is she going to do next? What is she plotting? She didn't blow any heads up so far this season.
Right.
Like, so she hasn't even used like her most powerful thing, but yet I'm still enthralled by her. Like, I still want to know what's going on. And I want to say, we were building this season up with like, oh, we're gonna have this election. This election's over less than halfway through, like 20 minutes of the episode. Oh, we're gonna have this huge Homelander trial done before the end of episode 1. It's like these two big events that we hyped up, the promo, it's already over. Like, we're already past that. We thought it would be like, oh, maybe a drawn out trial. We might have a courtroom scene or like an election. Like, I don't know. But those major events have happened, and now we're already past it. Yet Newman's still like, oh my god, I want to watch her all the time, and Homelander, of course. But it would have just been nice to have that trial. But overall, I totally go back to Newman. Totally agree with you. I think she's awesome. But her kid, holy crap, that scared me.
Yeah.
That was scary.
Like the snake, the 4 snakes coming out of the mouth.
What the hell was that?
She's got some evil-ish type of powers. We don't really know she's evil yet. I
Dude,
think it's
that was effed up.
Something to look out for. It's potential, like Ryan and Victoria Newman's daughter relationship, arranged marriage, potentially in some type of way, or future season of Gen V. Right?
Gen V.
Your pick of the litter here, Ricky Flex. Or a deal could be made eventually, and it could come down to the last seat for the 7. Is it going to be Victoria Newman's daughter or Ryan? It'd be interesting. If Ryan ends up going on Butcher's side, Victoria Newman's daughter joins the 7.
Dude, I can't imagine her powers. Like, we were just talking about how, like, oh, Sister Sage, like, not a normal, or Firecracker, not a normal 7 member. Dude, a girl that spits out snakes as a member of the 7? I don't think that sells for Vaughn.
Ricky, you know what I just thought of?
Movies,
I knew I always knew like the season was going to be electric. But when you have the awkwardly hilarious moment and inappropriate laughter I got from Victoria Newman's daughter and Ryan going off to get ice cream, and then Homelander said, "Don't go off getting pregnant." She's walking
and then
away.
he's like, well, I know they're too young, but he could. Yeah. Do it.
He said like he's a shooter or something. It was something absolutely outrageous. No, it's like he's unbelievably immature. Like Homelander he's been kind of on one this season. Him taking away the milkshake I thought was also hilarious. And I thought honestly the funniest moment of the season is when it's something I don't know if it was supposed to be funny, but it caught me so off guard and was so jaw dropping that I started cackling. It was when MM shines a light to Homelander and Homelander is distracted when he's trying to zap Huey in the figure skating arena, and he slices open. Right, he slices that figure skater in half. I was dying. I rebounded 3 times. I was like, "This is the funniest moment so far."
That was by far I was afraid. I was gonna say like the funniest thing of this season was the ice scene. I literally wrote ice rink scene. Holy crap, that scene was amazing. And it's just like that one thing happens. I was like, oh, and then they all just start killing each other. And then 5 minutes later on the news, it's like, oh, there was an electrical fire in the ice rink.
It's laughable how the cover-ups are so bad now. It's just laughable.
Just
so when the person like skates over the other person's chest, I'm like, oh my god.
But it's the boy, so it's like, oh, it's like, oh yeah, like they can get away with it. Society's just dumb.
There was a lot of messed up scenes, and like I've become kind of numb to like the really perverted sexual scenes, like when you have the multiplier guy eating his own asshole.
Human human centipede.
I was just almost no reaction. I was just like, I kind of knew what was coming as this guy who was just like obviously an incel goes into the locker room, into the sauna by himself, and they're sneaking up, opening a door, and they hear like these type of grunts. I'm just like, I know what this is all about. I've seen The Boys one too many times. And this multiplier splitting, and then like he's naked. I'm like,
you knew it was coming.
Honestly, this is kind of tame. Like this is honestly so normal for The Boys. I just have zero reaction whatsoever.
Well, that was a big thing last season. They were like, oh, like get ready, it's gonna be crazy, and like obviously Herogasm, but they hyped up not just Herogasm, but they hyped up just how like absurd those scenes were gonna be in season 3, and they didn't do it in season 4. So
Herogasm, like I feel like I just think of after rewatching it. Like the brunt he took,
Tough,
during
tough
that.
go.
But like what Herogasm was so built up, and the thing is, the best part of Herogasm is the opposite of anything sexual. It's that last scene between Soldier Boy, Butcher, who now is on Temp V, and Homelander on the 2v1 scene. To me, that's the greatest scene in boys history. Along with like Flight 37. I know we were
Yeah,
texting off recording here, but like those are the two best scenes. It's just like it's funny. The debauchery is the word I used beforehand, but it's like almost not the reason I'm watching the show. Yeah, it's like, oh, look at that. No other show is doing this, but it's not like the reason I'm watching whatsoever.
right. That's definitely not. If you're watching for that, like,
You got
there's
some
something
sickos
wrong with you.
You got some sickos out here, Ricky Flex. And I speaking of sickos,
Mm,
I think maybe we should talk about the Deep and his
yes,
bestiality.
I was
Uh,
gonna mention. Do you know who voices this octopus?
That was my big question. I said, who is voicing Ambrosia? I was like, I have to know because they got Will Ferrell for a cameo here, and like the boys usually likes to have like a strong cameo per episode, every other episode. I thought it would have been hilarious if it was like Scarlett Johansson,
Oh, that would have been
But
good.
no, who is it? Or if you want to give me a hint, I can do that too.
Oh, okay. Um, wow. So you didn't look it up because like
No,
Prime does the thing where you could just touch it.
I was
You can
thinking
see
about
it.
doing that, but I was just like, I just didn't look.
I was like, oh, like who is this? Like sophisticated woman, British maybe? I don't know. She has an Oscar.
For British, like old British,
Not old,
so not
but
like
like
Judy
I
Dench
don't.
old.
But I don't know if she is British actually. But like she sounds British. That's why I was saying it. No, she is. She's British.
You
Not
know how I
Scottish.
thought like it's not Kate Blanchett.
No, but close.
Wow, because I thought Kate Blanchett was playing Crimson Countess.
Right? Because
Yeah,
that,
remember
dude,
that?
that's what
They
we
look
said last
identical.
season or 2 seasons ago. We were like, is that Kate Blanchett?
What
That was
the
just a
fuck is Kate
lookalike,
Blanchett and the boys, bro?
dude.
It's
But like, obviously, it
amazing.
wasn't.
That video game, by the way, that Crimson Countess shows up in here. That's gotta happen in real life. They have to
Yeah, that
make
was
that an
good.
actual game.
You know how like Homelander goes in Fortnite? Oh no, for Homelander goes in Mortal Kombat, which that obviously is a knockoff. But
Right,
they
but they
should
have
have
to have it just for the boys.
that would be a good or like a sub thing with Mortal Kombat. No, but hold on. So British, not Kate Blanchett, but you're close.
British, not Kate Blanchett. Same age-ish. Not Emily Blunt.
No, no. This person's all right. This person's 64, 63. It doesn't
Tell me.
look it.
Just tell me.
Tilda Swinton.
Oh my God, that's a big get.
I know.
Big get. She won.
Huge get.
She won an Oscar. Tilda Swinton.
Michael Clayton.
Wow. Wow. And that's like Kate Blanchett. That is very similar. That is weird.
Yes.
Why would Tilda Swinton do that? Seth Rogen, I think it's just he's got powerful connections. Like if he is also a producer on this show, did the Imagine video that was making fun of Gal Gadot and all those celebrities. Remember in season 3?
That
You
was
know,
great.
he just has
All right.
strong connections. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say IMDb for Tilda Swinton, like known for, but you would not get 2 of them.
Not even Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange got to be on there.
No.
Tilda Swinton, not the killer. She was just in the killer.
No, you're like I'm telling you, like I was going to ask you it because she's a big actress, but 2 of
I
these
don't even
movies
know
I've
what.
never heard of, or one of them I have heard of, but you were not gonna get
Tilda
it.
Swinton, Lion Witch in the Wardrobe.
No, but that's a good guess.
I'm thinking of like big movies, like
You shouldn't.
blockbusters. There's none of these are blockbusters.
Right. So I think I should just tell you.
Tilda Swinton. Does she play like an actress in one of those movies?
In what movie?
One of the top 4, most known for.
No.
All right, go ahead. Just go ahead.
Snowpiercer, Michael Clayton.
Snowpiercer. She's a freak.
Yeah. So I thought you might get that, and then Michael Clayton we just said.
I wasn't gonna say.
Yeah. But we need to talk about Kevin. Like you were never gonna get that, and then Suspiria, which I've never heard of. Luca Guadagnino, Chloe Grace Moretz.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. That's enough. Tilda Swinton. No one gives a shit about
Dakota
her anymore.
Johnson.
Yeah, she's an octopus. She's an octopus in the boys. Big whoop. Okay. The Deep freak. We get it, but also hilarious. I got to find out why he's hooking up with Sister Sage. something weird going on there. Felt awkward.
Her eyes looked odd in that scene too, like she was on drugs or something.
I feel like she just knew what she was doing. It felt awkward on purpose. That was my takeaway. She's trying to lure the deep in for some reason
Right.
because she's not attracted to him intellectually whatsoever. She thinks
Right.
he's a freaking idiot. You know,
Right.
like she's trying to get something out of it. A Black Noir. Before we keep on moving to the latter stages of these first 3 episodes, Black Noir, we have a whole new version. And Black Noir got done so dirty. And now one of the main nitpicks I have with season 3 is they're handling that character. I thought it was great what they did in terms of animation, explaining his backstory from season 3. Obviously gets punched through his stomach by Homelander. And for not telling him that Soldier Boy was Homelander's son. We have someone else wearing the Black Noir suit. Everyone in the 7 is aware that's not the original Black Noir. This Black Noir talks. And I got to admit, very off-putting at first. Very off-putting. I'm like, this is wrong. And that's why I found it really hilarious as it went on. A-Train's commentary was hilarious alongside Black Noir, where he's like, you're doing too much. Don't talk. You have one job. Don't talk. Right? I think like they have a little funny thing going on between him and A-Train. It was off-putting to start. I'm starting to buy into it. And I'm starting to think person underneath the mask is someone that really doesn't matter. And I have a feeling like it's someone that mentioned that they studied at Godolkin. So maybe it's someone that we saw in Gen V. We haven't had many Gen V connections from that spin-off show to this season, like we thought there was going to be, at least more stronger connections. But I think it just might be a nobody from Godolkin that's just kind of hilarious, who doesn't really know how to be Black Noir.
Yeah. So I thought it was very funny. It got me. And he's like, oh, even the previous Black Noir, like I'm staying in his place, and I don't think he knew martial arts. Like I don't know. Like I went to Godolkin. Like I thought that was pretty good. And then every time like Coleman is like, just shut up, just shut up, just shut up. Very good stuff.
The audience is thinking that too.
And like the first time he spoke, I was like, whoa. I was like, whoa. But then like you got used to it. Like you said, it was a little off-putting at first, but then you got used to it, and then the jokes were hitting. So I liked it. But you bring up another point that I wanted to bring up here, is that Gen V. Not a lot of representation yet. We know we're gonna get crap. What's his name?
Sam,
and then the girl.
Kate.
Thank you. Wow, good memory. We're gonna get them.
Document, yes.
Okay. Well, didn't look at that part, but we're gonna get them in the Vought building somehow. So when would that be? Maybe like if we're just like, if you get a tinfoil hat on, maybe a little bit, we get Ryan switching sides to Butcher, and then they need to fill that seat, or maybe they fill that seat and also one of the 7 die. It's like, oh, it filled 2 seats with those 2 guys, Sam and Kate. I don't know, but we only have 5 episodes left, so they're going to be coming in sooner than later, I think. So Gen V, I think, is going to start having more of a presence. We also got it with the Butcher telling Newman about, like, oh, I know what you're doing at Godolkin and what you did to your daughter. So besides that, not a lot of Gen V action here, but I have a feeling that we'll be getting it sooner than later.
Like there was a conspiracy that, okay, maybe this is Sam in the Black Noir suit, or it was the clone of Homelander, potentially, that's underneath this suit. But as soon as we hear this voice, it seems like the guy's black, by the way he's speaking. And I don't, but I'm just like,
I looked at the Prime thing. I touched Prime. If you're watching something on Prime and it's a character like that, like where you don't know who's talking, I'm going to touch it. It's just so convenient for me to just touch the mouse and be like, it's right there.
You can't.
I can't help it. I'm addicted to that stuff.
I don't watch on my computer though. Like I watch on my smart TV, and
so I watched the first episode on the TV, and I still did it with Black Noir.
Okay, I didn't do it. I held off for Black Noir, but is it a black actor? I assume
it is a black actor. I forget. It's like something.
I don't mean to profile. I'm not trying to do that, but it's just like it did not sound like Sam. It definitely wasn't Kate. You know, it definitely didn't sound like Homelander. It's just how this person might have been a minor character in Gen V that was in like 2 scenes or something. Then you never knew he was going to end up becoming the next Black Noir. Right. You know. And maybe Black Noir is going to be a character that keeps on being passed down, has a mantle that's taken up by a different character every once in a while. Who knows? right? I just find it weird that they would make such an important decision, have that person talk, and have it be someone so unfamiliar to the audience potentially. I think that's just like it's something that was talked about so much. It feels like how could there not be more thought put into who is going to be wearing the mask? How can we have no idea? You know,
You
I
want to
felt
know
like
something crazy? This Black Noir, it's not crazy, but this Black Noir, he's the same Black Noir as before, like the actor. They never changed actors because like they could. Nathan Mitchell's his name. I knew it was Mitchell. Uh, they never changed the actor, even though like technically
but
he
the
died.
voice wasn't the same guy as the throwback like Nicaragua scene versus Sandinistas. That wasn't the same voice.
Hmm. Yeah, because he kind of does look different than the throwback scene. But in the throwback scene, like he was injured. I
And it
don't know.
was that guy. It was confirmed. That's why he has like that PTSD from his relationship with Soldier Boy. It
Right.
has to be the same guy. It's not
Has
someone
to
else
be.
wearing the black noir suit.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Unless they cloned him.
Maybe. I don't hate that take. But yeah, no. So yeah, no. This Nathan Mitchell, same guy, actor wise. I don't know. I think Black Noir. It's funny, but we already kind of had his peak, unfortunately, in season three, episode 3, and it wasn't enough, like you said.
Yeah, and the lack of connectivity. Speaking of like Sam, Kate, Gen V, we only have one really mention of the virus that the soup virus that was spreading at the end of Gen V, where you have Butcher talking about it with what's her name, Victoria.
Newman.
So it's just like that's the only mention we have. That's the only connection we have. Then you have like the Godolkin drop from the new Black Noir. That's it so far, right? Do you think we're going to get a lot more? Do you think it's not going to be the strong connection we anticipated, right? Like, and I guess what connection would you predict?
No, I think I like I said before,
Evan?
I think the Gen V, Sam and Kate are going to be showing up sooner than later. And I think maybe not sooner than later. I'll take that back. Maybe like episode 6 or 7 towards the later end of the season, later half of the season, where Ryan makes his decision, goes with Butcher, and they have to fill in, and then maybe another member of the 7 dies, maybe a Firecracker or Sister Sage or something, and they have to fill in those 2 spots on the 7. They fill them in with Sam and Kate. So I think maybe later half of the season, those 2 will show up, and then the virus, once Newman's plan maybe not be working as according to plan, maybe to assassinate the president, then maybe the virus comes back into play towards the end of the season.
Do you think Ryan should have been charged with murder?
Dude, yeah, but you can get away
Because
with it. But like
just
technically,
you just had Homelander on trial, right, for zapping that dude's face, and it's recorded. Everyone's watching it. Everyone's recording Ryan, and yes, the guy's a bank robber, but
but
like he
but
threw him against a building and
he,
like
you
murdered
can
him.
get away with that though because like he was holding a gun to a child's head, and yes, like we know it's fake, but like it sounds crazy, but 'cause
That
it's so badly acted, but like
that
it's
scene,
real to everyone
that
else.
scene was like almost just as important for Ryan as it was to Homelander, actually, because that was like when you talk about him confronting himself in the mirror, meaning Homelander talking about his narcissism. That was the biggest narcissistic move he made in the entire time. Like
Dude.
he's stealing the spotlight from his own son, you know, and
Dude,
his son is
I
like
hate
his son
cringy
looks back
stuff.
is like you are an asshole, you are a
Yeah,
narcissist.
I hate cringy stuff. I literally like clicked on my computer the space bar to pause it, and I was just like, oh,
Ugh.
oh God, I hate that stuff. Like, I just hate cringy stuff. And when they do such a good job because the camera just quickly pans to Homelander, and like it's the TikTok or Instagram live, and it's like, God dang it, Homelander! Like you are such a narcissist.
Yeah,
It's so bad, but that's why it's so good because they do such a good job with it in this show.
that was a painful watch. But yeah, Ryan murdered that guy, straight up murdered him, you know. And he went to go talk with Butcher about it. And Butcher's like, yeah, like he didn't really have any words of wisdom for him. He's just like this is why I don't like soups. Like this is the exact reason why I don't like soups. But he has this emotional connection to this kid, right? But murderer, he's a fucking murderer. He just threw that guy against the wall. I'm like, you should feel bad. I'm like, that was
And then freaking Homelander is like, dude, they're toys for our amusement. I
that was
told you that.
so messed up. You know, it's just like that's the difference in mentality. That's like Butcher. This is what Ryan goes to play foosball with this guy who is the human side of him, and then he goes to the superhero side of him that is
There's no in between.
Homelander. You know, because he's like he's such an interesting character. Also, we talked about how compelling he is because he is the first natural born soup. Like he's not being injected with compound V. Like he's a natural born human and soup. So he is like that chosen one messiah
Luke
type
Skywalker.
yeah, where it's like he inherently has this ability, right, to be this person, and he has the power of choice. You know, he like that's why Ryan's so important. Like he might not be that great of an actor, but the character super key. Okay, that does it. We've gone on long enough about episodes 1 through 3, season 4 of The Boys. Make sure that you guys stay tuned for us next week when we talk about episode 4. Hopefully with Gus, TDI correspondent. Hopefully when he comes back on.